Welcome, Jackie.
All right, well, I think we will begin if that's all right. It's 2:01, so seems like we have a lot of participants today. That's good. So hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Glenn Johnson. I guess I will be your host today. So today we're going to focus on accounts receivable, specifically our products that's called Autovation AR. Now, sincerely, we appreciate your time for attending today. So we have a limited time frame for this webinar. It's only 25 minutes. So something that kind of is a house rule that at the end of the webinar, we're going to answer the top 3 most frequently asked questions that we get all the time from the Napa jobber community. However, if you have questions, please type them into the Zoom chat room. I can't promise I will get to every question today. However, I can promise that Clark Barlow will follow up with each one of you beginning tomorrow to ensure your questions are answered to your satisfaction. Again, thank you for your time today. So now let's get started. All right, Clark, if you'll advance to the next slide, it'd be great. I appreciate it, my friend. All right, so here's today's agenda. I've already mentioned that we're going to keep this at 25 minutes. I know you guys are running your businesses, so thank you for the 25 minutes. We're going to give an overview of the system criteria that has been requested by the Napa jobbers. I'm going to introduce you to the president of Paperless Solutions. He's going to talk a little bit about our organization. We're going to discuss Autovation AR, specifically invoices and statements. And then Clark is going to demonstrate a live demonstration of Autovation AR. I'm going to throw in some additional features and functionalities of our platform that we have. And then we're going to review our 30-day software trial just for webinar participants. So let's kick it off, Clark. Thank you. All right. So when we went down this road, and you'll hear me say this again, we have never done your job. So when we were asked to build a system for the jobbers, we kind of reverse engineered it. We asked, all right, what are you having problems with your current system or things you wanted in the system? So I'm not going to read every one of them. Everybody here can read, but the big ones that stand out is it's simple enough that a 10-year-old can find the information. If I can find it, you can find it. Another thing was the ability to email invoices to customers the same day. That was interesting to me, but that's something the world we live in, but obviously some of the systems weren't able to do that. We've perfected it. We've even broken up to where you can choose to email your invoices or your statements or both, and you can configure it for each customer, plus a simple billing. So I think as we go through this, hopefully you'll get a feel that we were able to achieve the criteria that we were kind of tasked with creating. So Clark, if you'll move forward to the next slide. So at this point, I want to introduce Mike Hinkson. He is the president and founder of Paperless Solutions. And I've asked him to speak today because a lot of times we get questions, well, who is Paperless? And I thought the best person to answer is the guy that started the company. So Mike, if you'll spend this few minutes, I'd appreciate it.
Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate that. Welcome, everybody. And again, I will extend my welcome as well for spending some time with us. A couple of things I'm going to highlight. We're just going to do one slide about Paperless. If you want to catch me after this, I could probably talk for 3 or 4 hours about our organization. But I think a few key things that we'd like to highlight are, one, we've been in business 20 years. We've been doing this for a long time. Traditionally, we've been selling to enterprise customers, large systems. And in the last 5 to 10 years, we've pivoted a little bit to add small business solutions to our business. The other interesting thing is, even though we've been in business 20 years, our average customer has been with us for more than 12 and a half years. So once we put a solution in, we pride ourselves in being able to satisfy our customers and keep them happy. We look at it as more as a partnership as opposed to a one-sided relationship. The other great thing, and Glenn touched upon this, some of the things we heard talking to some of the jobbers as we built this solution out, is our support. We pride ourselves on our support. We have a full issue tracking system called Team Support, where every single support call issue that comes into our system gets answered by one of our help desk technicians within an hour. You'll get a response back very quickly, and most solutions most answers get responded to within a day, and hopefully within a couple hours. The other important thing on here is our Autovation AR solution is supported by our technical resources on staff, and our technical resources get recertified on the products we resell every single year. So everyone you talk to in our technical organization, whether it's the help desk, whether it's the implementation team, they're all certified on the products, very knowledgeable about the products. But more importantly, we've done this before with other jobbers, so hopefully they know a lot about your business as well. So again, I'd be happy to talk all day about Paperless, but I know we have a short time frame today. I'm going to turn it back over to Glenn and Clark to move on.
Thank you, Mike. By the way, the slide looks great too, so I appreciate it. All right, Clark, if you'll move forward, we're going to get right into some of the meat about Autovation AR. So on this slide, I want your eyes to draw to the invoice. I hope that the invoices look similar. Now, when I say similar, the biggest thing that we see in invoices is some of them have the barcode and some don't have the barcode. Now, a lot of our product is anchored on a barcode. Now, it reads everything on here, or we capture the information. But if your invoices don't have a barcode, don't worry. Believe it or not, it's a flip of a switch within TAMS, and you can get the barcodes. So this is where the whole process starts for the actual invoices. So we can capture every bit of information that you need to look up that's searchable. Remember about my kind of smart out comment about 10-year-old being able to look it up? This is how we've set it up. So you can find anything that you want on the invoice after it's been processed through our system. Now, as you read down the line, you can realize you'll see at the bottom, optional customer self-service integration. Now, that's important. That is our version of ProLink. So in a moment, we're going to kind of go through that. So you'll see that we can handle both invoices, we can handle statements, and we can provide a customer self-service for like your garages and things of that nature. So Clark, would you move on, please? Thank you, sir. All right. So here's a screenshot of the customer self-service. So in the middle, you'll see how we've set it up. So your customers, the garages I'll use for de facto, they can look up by invoice number, date, store number, or their customer ID, which you guys may call an account number. It's that simple. There is not a whole lot of trickery here. You just have to decide if your customers actually will use this service. And that's really up to you. And that will be one of the questions that Clark may ask you tomorrow when he follows up. So I hope this provides a little bit of a better understanding of how we can create a self-service model for your garages or people that use that service. All right, Clark, go ahead, please. All right, so we are always asked how we do this. And we are an extremely transparent company. So for an example, we are not sponsored by GPC. GBC doesn't like us or anything else. They just think they can go out and contract a system that is better. And so far, they're not able to do that. So we are not sponsored by GPC. And I want to be very clear about that. We convert about 2 to 3 jobbers a month in the way we do things. And here in the architecture, that's why the question is, well, if you're not sponsored, how do you do things? Well, our engineers and everything have figured out a good way to go ahead and get both the invoices and the statements. So let's talk about the invoice portion. So when someone comes in, you'll go ahead and sell them, let's say, an alternator, and they will sit here and they will sign on the dotted line. And that invoice is then scanned into our cloud. It will read everything that you saw on the previous invoice. Plus you can pull up and say, hey, Glenn Johnson signed that invoice. Well, the neat thing about that is it will also match up with the statements. Now that's where I get a lot of questions. Well, how do we do the statements? Well, we set up a ghost printer, and it's just that. It doesn't really exist. That's kind of why we call it a ghost printer. But what we do is we intercept the data stream, and then we manipulate the data stream, and then that's how we get the statements, and we store them in our secure cloud. So therefore, you will have the ability in a few minutes to see how you can email invoices, email statements, email invoices and statements together, and or do it on a preset day or time of the week or the month. It's a pretty cool system, but that's kind of the architecture of how this happens. All right, Clark? So now here's what we're going to do today. Clark is going to show you a live demonstration of Autovation AR that's built on the Square 9 global search platform. So Clark, take it away, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks for the introduction, and thank you all for coming today. I know that you all are super busy, so I greatly appreciate your time. I may have spoken to some of you as well, so it's nice that you get to see my face, and it's also great that you get to see our product here. So this is Autovation AR. This piece is called Global Search. And this is the piece where you're going to use, as Glenn already told you, to look up invoices, statements, print, and send. So just to get started, it's a very simple system. Over here to the right are your filing cabinets, your archives, whatever you'd really like to call them. We're going to get started with the AR invoice. To get started, you just click on that magnifying glass, click on Browse AR Invoice, and then this is where you're going to build your results list. It's pretty straightforward. You can use as many of these fields as you would like. If you just want to look up one specific invoice, you can do that as well. For this example, I'm just going to type in the word budget and click Run Search. As you can see, every invoice in our system that has the word budget is going to pop up. You can organize any of these columns simply by clicking on the column, which is pretty standard for most software, but it can come in handy. You can also email your invoices out of here as well. You can email one at a time, all of them, 2 or 3. It doesn't matter, whatever you're trying to send. But I just like to keep you in mind, when you scan your invoices, your customer automatically gets emailed a copy. So hopefully you won't have to do this too frequently, but it is a feature that we like to let you know about because it's convenient when you have customers that are calling and asking you for invoices. So to do this, you're just going to click on the actions drop down, email, no annotations, and then invoice number. In a quick few short seconds, you are going to see an email pop up with the attachment. As you can see, the attachment name is the invoice number that I selected. Then you just pop in that email address and all right. So to look at an invoice, you simply just double click. It doesn't matter where within the row you click as long as you double click. And it's going to pop up. And I'm sure your invoices look quite similar to this. As Glenn was talking about earlier in PowerPoints, when you scan your invoices, the scanner is going to read the barcode. And it's also going to read the actual information on the invoices, such as the invoice number or the invoice date. And it's going to put them down in the index fields for you. So that's how it's going to get stored in the global search. And that will be the way you'll be able to find them and everything. You can also print out of this menu as well, and you can also email out of this menu as well if you need to. But like we said, it's so simple, a 10-year-old could use it, so that pretty much covers that. Moving on to customer statements, it's exactly the same process as invoices. I just want to show it to you, but its work functions the same. You're just going to click on the magnifying glass, browse customer statements. You're going to punch in that information that you are searching for and then click Run Search. As you can see, everything is going to pop up because I just clicked Run Search for this example, but you can also click those columns for the statements as well. You can also email them out like I showed you before, but due to time and showing you the same thing, I won't do that. And then to look at it, statement is exactly like the invoices as well. Just double click. And we pull these statements right out of TAM. So I'm sure these look quite familiar to you. And as you can see over here to the right on the index fields, it's going to fill in all the information for you as well. And then moving, that pretty much covers global search. It's straightforward. Just look up your invoices and statements. This is the part of that most people get a little bit more excited about, the Napa dataset management tool. And this is where you're going to store all of your customers' emails. And, you know, the more emails you have, the more effective our system is. So the way we store the emails is by customer ID, store number, email address, email status, and email frequency. And it's quite simple to create an email. All you're going to do is click create new. You're going to give them the customer ID, whatever customer ID you have for your customer already. The store number is completely optional, but some people find it very useful, so that's why we added it in. And then for the email address, I'm just going to make up an email address for myself for the sake of example. And then email status. This is where it gets a little bit more interesting. So this is where you're going to select none, both invoices or statements. In the best case scenario, you're going to be selecting both because that way your customers are going to be getting all their information so they don't have to reach out to you for it. And then the invoice frequency. The invoice frequency is how often they're going to receive their invoices after you scan them. So some people are going to want them daily, weekly, or monthly. So if you get a customer that calls you and they say, you know, we don't really like getting the invoices every single day, could you send them to us just at the end of the month? You would just go to their email address, click this drop down and go to monthly and click create. And then as you can see, you can search for the emails in your system as well. I just typed in Barlow Clark. So just by typing in a few letters, that email is going to pop up for you. If you need to edit it, you just simply click edit, boom, change from monthly to weekly or whatever your customer wants to be changed to, and click save. And that covers the Napa Dataset Management tool that you'll be using. One final quick thing before I get going is the customer self-service tool that Glenn was telling you about. So this is the tool that your customers are going to use to look up their own invoices and statements. They'll have it downloaded on their computer and they'll pull it up and they're simply just going to type in anywhere on here. For this example, I'm just going to type in an invoice number to look up. And then when I click run search, Global Search is going to pop up for them. Just keep in mind, they can only look at their own invoices. So even if they type in the wrong information, like one of your other customers' invoices aren't going to pop up for them, just so you're aware. And then, yeah, just to click on it, it looks exactly how it looks in the other window I was showing you. So overall, that's pretty much how the software works. It's simple. I know I've said that about 100 times already, but I really appreciate your time again, and I'm going to hand it over back to Glenn.
Well, Clark, again, great job of demonstrating Autovation AR. And
thank you.
Without me coming across as a smart aleck, great job for a 10-year-old. So it's easy to find. So there you go. Okay.
You're too kind.
I know. If you could advance to the next slide, please. That would be great. And we're getting towards the end of all this. So here is an additional features, and I'm not going to read them to you, but why did we add this in here? Well, we went down the road. Again, I said earlier, we've never done your job before, but we come from a world where you build platforms that are based on multi-use, different departments, things of this nature. So there's some things that Autovation AR has that if anybody would like to know more information about, we'll be happy to talk to you offline. But one of them is we're in the middle of testing a tax compliance feature for the Napa jobbers. Did not know that you guys needed to keep resales or sales tax usage or W-9s online until a reseller approached me last December in Omaha. So we thought, well, maybe we can do something. So we're working out how it's going to look and run. But again, we're going to add that to the Autovation AR down the road. It'll be sometime probably the first half of this year. The next thing is what it was really built on is document capture automation. So yes, we're talking about AR, but it can ingest and we can receive and route both structured and semi-structured or free-form documents that you may need to store. A good example of some of those documents would be when you hire someone for human resources. There are automated workflows. We don't have any installed. We can do workflows. If anybody out there has an idea of a good workflow for us, please let us know. We also deal in the world of electronic forms management. That means eliminating paper. So I used the example of HR a minute ago. Well, a lot of times HR has a lot of forms, both for hiring them and for the state. Well, we can create all electronic forms. These are all add-ons. They're obviously extra, but if there's something you need, the platform, should you ever choose to work with us, is more than just AR. How's that? All right, Clark. So this next day, this is good for the people here that are on the webinar. It's a 30-day trial. Believe it or not, we started out with 60 days, but everybody said, well, we don't need 60 days, too long. We'll know in the first 30 days whether it works or it doesn't. And, you know, so it's pretty good. We've had no one give back the system, which is good. So here are the things in the terms and conditions. Yes, you've got to speak to Clark Barlow, okay? So that has to happen. Why is that? Because there's a questionnaire that we need to be completed and reviewed by the technical team here at Paperless. We must install the system within 30 days and get it up and running, but you can cancel it anytime. So it's something that we were approached on at the end of the year offering trials. So maybe you guys are interested, maybe you're not, but it's a good way to take a look at the system and use it using your own invoices and your statements and some of your customer data. So I would hope that you would at least consider it. So how's that? So with that said, we're at the end of our presentation and we have about 3 minutes left. So I guess I did a good job timing this. Now, there's Clark's information down there if you have a pen and paper, like to write on it. But I wanted to take the last couple minutes and address a few questions before we knock off for the day. So I have picked out 3 questions that we get asked all the time. So the first one is I want to cover is, the question is, has Paperless converted anyone off of Dart? Well, the answer is yes. And it's really about a 50-50 split of our customers that have used Dart versus non-Dart users. Doesn't really matter to us. But yes, our technical team does complete conversions of your data. We recommend converting 1 to 2 years, but really we've had jobbers convert additional years. It's really up to you. It's your decision. However, as a caveat to this, I'll let you know that data conversion, you know, takes longer. In the software world, it's generally one of the most time-consuming tasks because it's really attention to detail oriented. But back to your question, we've converted about 50-50 split of our clients were on Dart previously. The second question is, what is the average time it takes the technical support team to answer a call? Now, this is something we're really, really proud of. Our average response time is within an hour. So someone will get back to you. Now, sometimes sooner than an hour, but it's depending on the call volume and the type of questions the technical team is fielding. And Mike's done a real good job at setting the tone for this. We're going to try to hurry up you and get you off the phone to take another call. We'll take as long as it takes to get your questions answered, make sure we understand the problem. And if there is an issue, we fix it right the first time. In the long run, it's cheaper for us to do that. And also it's less frustration for you. And believe it or not, the third question we get is, do you have a way to identify a missing invoice? Well, the answer is obviously yes. It is called a missing invoice report. It can be run every day if needed. There's no additional charge. It's built into Autovation AR, which is kind of a good segment as how this came up. Again, I said earlier in the webinar, we've never done your job before. So we're reliant upon you to tell us things that you may need to help your operation run better. If a jobber had not told us or asked us to build a missing invoice report, we wouldn't be talking about it today. So we're indebted that he was able to, you know, I guess push us in the right direction for something that they use on a daily basis within their stores. So again, the point of my comment is, if there's something that you may think your store needs, please let us know. I can't promise we'll do it, but I can promise we'll listen. And if there's a feasible way to do it, you know, we'll get all hands on deck and try to help you. So again, I hope today's informational webinar was just that, information. Thank you for attending. Our time is up. And remember, Clark will follow up with you tomorrow because I know we didn't get to a lot of the questions, but we'll print them out afterwards and Clark will follow up. So I hope you have a pleasant rest of your day. Goodbye. And again, thank you for your time today. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.